It has been quite some time since I last made my Barbie speedrun video explaining the process of the run and the methods that we used. Since then, the game has been played very sporadically by myself in Soul Closet, with my most recent run having been the actual bottle run at the Barbiethon livestream. Some things had been discovered prior to that stream, but even more significant changes have arisen too, so much so that I decided it would probably be best to make a new video. We have refined many aspects of the run now in such a short span of time. While I will cover the entire run at the end of this video, I first think it would be best to explain how the game plays, and also all the levels and things that you'll encounter before going over the strats. Movement in the game is a bit janky, and it's important to get used to how it feels. You move with the arrow keys, but your mouse on the edges of the screen will also have you move. You also have the magic carpet, which allows you to fly and move much faster. This is important for long stretches of area you want to cover, but it's also important to know when to click off of the carpet because the descent is very slow. Clicking is another key thing, and it's one of the major things to keep in mind because obviously you gotta click a ton of stuff. But you can also do double clicking with both your right and left keys, and spamming it will let you do things a little bit faster. Like when you use the recorder, you can spam one button with both of the clicks, and it'll play it much faster than normal. These are the two basic movements, and of course we'll go over the certain strats later, but I think it'd probably be best to explain each of the levels and what you can find within them and what you'll have to be doing. I will likely repeat some of this stuff during the overview of the actual video run, but I still want to give you context for what these levels have and the items and all the things that you might be doing because I'll go over some of that during the strats. You have 3 wishes, so you need to utilize them well if you're going to be doing a run with wishes. It may depend on the person's skill and what puzzles you find to be the most easiest, but for the most part, this is how we've been playing the game. In the market, you want to see the square pieces, not the gems. Those pieces are easy to spot, and it's also easy to remember where they're located. The puzzle should be skipped, however. You will also look for the book from a mod after speaking with him in his store. It's important that you make sure to walk up to the door instead of clicking on the heart above it. After this, the next 3 locations will also have a magic thread that you have to look for, so keep that in mind. Next is Snowy Mountain. Both games are likely to be skipped due to the speed of them, but the locations for the pieces is easy to remember and easy to spot. The games that you get to play are Connect 4 or a maze game. As I said, they are very long, so it's probably best to skip them. You will also need to talk to the Sultan, and then the Genie, and then back to the Sultan again to get another piece. At the Oasis, it is ideal to have the fish game with the fish pieces, which is a very quick game to play. The matching game with orb pieces is slow and should be skipped, but it's not bad if you have to get those pieces. You'll also need to get to the other side of the level, likely with your carpet to get there faster, and also click on the yellow heart above the gate to go and talk to a man who will give you some keys, which you can then use on the treehouse nearby where there's some glasses that you will then give to Gamali back near the start of the level. The location of the glasses will always be the same up in that treehouse, and do know that sometimes there is a glitch where the gate just will not open even if you have the keys. In that case, you'll have to restart the game all over again. With the Rainbow Forest, both games are very playable and pretty easy to complete, but if you get Frog Jacks, you could skip that one. You'll have to talk to 2 characters in this location, and both of them will give you a piece, so you get a total of 2 from different characters. Lastly, with the City in the Sky, you have horseshoes and colored pegs. They can both be difficult to find at times, with the horseshoes blending in and the pegs having weird locations compared to the shoes, and the game being skipped can kind of depend on the person. The horseshoes is very fast, and I generally skip the pegs game because it's slow for me. Barbie gives you a piece at the start, and you also get a piece from a girl named Zahira when you have to look for one of her ribbons. Of course, the fun part now is the strats, so let's go over that. First one is skipping dialogue. Formerly, we assumed that you needed to exit the dialogue at a specific trigger, as in older tests it seemed that the items would not spawn when we left immediately. But as it turns out, you can leave almost immediately, you just have to let it play the audio a little bit. The one exception is Zahira at the end of the game, and you have to listen to her dialogue all the way through to get the red ribbon. As far as we've tested with her, the ribbon does not seem to spawn if you exit her conversation at all. You can tell the conversation is over when the feather on her hat animates. Another caveat is that you cannot exit the dialogue in which a character is giving you an item like the gem from the evil Genie. No matter what, you have to see that item pop up in the left corner to make sure that you actually received it, otherwise you don't have it. Next is skipping the location flights. Similar to the previous, we thought that you needed to sit through the magic carpet rides between locations. Embarrassingly, this was addressed in the manual too. You can exit the ride and arrive immediately by clicking on the carpet icon again. Double-clicking with the left and right keys will make it happen a bit faster. Those two are very important for saving time, outside of learning better movement throughout the game and the locations of items. There will be examples of these next few things in the speedrun itself, but I'll also explain them too. Backwards carpet movement is also something that will be utilized in some of the runs. There are times where turning around is a bit slower, but moving with the carpet is fast. If you know there's something that you need to get to, it's probably faster for you to get on the carpet, move backwards, and use it to get to that location faster without having to turn around. It was only recently discovered that you can click through walls to collect items. This is probably one of the more important ones at the start of the game. There could be many more uses for this, but for the most part you'll want to find all the pieces manually because the location is random. However, the key pieces you are going to be able to find with this method will be at the start and the end of the game. On the screen, I'll show you exactly where these locations are that you'll need to click in order to get items through the wall. The first one will be a mod's book, which you'll have to look for after talking to him for the first time. You have to walk up to his store specifically and not click on the heart above it, because if you don't, you won't end up in the same location when you leave. When you exit, you will be in one place, and from there you'll have to turn to find where the books are. The first one will be to the left, which is out in the open and you don't have to click through anything. If there isn't a book there, then turn to the right, and in this specific place that I'll show right on the screen, you will click and find a book. If the book is not there, then you keep turning until you're almost facing the wall behind you where there's some pots. I'll show it on the screen again, where you can click on the wall to get the book that might be hiding there. This is the same thing with Zahira's ribbon too, where it only has 3 locations that it can spawn, so you can use this trick on the ribbon as well. After talking to Zahira, you will be in one specific location, and from there, like the book, you will turn without moving. When you first start to turn, there will be one location that you'll be able to see the ribbon out in the open, and you can click on that one very easily, but if it's not there, there will be one spot behind the statue in the center, which I will show a picture of on screen. If the ribbon isn't there, then you can keep turning until you see a tower on the far right. I will show it on the screen where you have to click. This method is incredibly useful for these 2 items because they have a very limited amount of spawn locations. Next, I'm gonna do commentary over the most recent world record speedrun to explain what's happening and show you step by step how to speedrun the game. Of course, it'll take some time to practice, and if you watched up to this point and think that you can just run the game now, then you can stop watching and go play the game. Of course, it would be nice if you watched the video all the way through. Regardless, here is the speedrun. Alright, so we're gonna go over a speedrun from my friend Salt Closet, who is the only other person running this game. We've been running it together ever since I discovered it, and they end up getting a 7 minutes and 52 seconds, which is the first sub-8 that anyone's ever gotten. So it's very exciting that they managed to get this, and let's go over what they do. I may have to pause this a few times because it's gonna be pretty quick. But they end up doing a lot of things that I talk about in this video, like clicking through the walls in both the marketplace and the cloud, so it'll be a pretty good example to show. Okay, so immediately they look around right where you spawn to look for the puzzle pieces. So they go up to a mod's shop, and once they go there, they let them talk for a moment, and then they leave. And immediately look to the left for the first location, which is not there, then to this next location, which is where you can click through the wall, right around here, which is not there, and then the last location is over here, and they just got it. It was right around here. So they clicked through a wall and they got the book, and then they turn right back around to return it. After getting the recorder, depending on how many pieces you have, you'll probably want to go over to one of the ropes, it's probably going to be up one of those. It's random as to which one it is, so you always take a chance deciding. And every time they use the recorder, there's the piece, they are double-clicking with both of the keys. And there they go, they got the last one. So over to the puzzle, and you skip it with a wish. It's best to try and spam the button so you don't end up getting any, like, tutorial dialogue. Once you have the map, you can go to any location. We always start with Snowy Mountain, but, like, it doesn't really matter which one you go with. So immediately, when you spawn here, you face this wall, and there's likely going to be pieces up here. Sometimes there's not, but it's good to take a close look and look for anything that could possibly be up there. There's 2 rope locations as well, and there isn't always a piece up there, but it's likely that there could be, mostly if you don't have all the ones that you need by the time that you're going around the entire level. So they end up getting the coins, which are pretty easy to spot, and they can be on the ledges, on the rooftops, they can be around the corners and behind the plants. They can kind of be tough to look for if you don't actually know where to look. So after talking to the Sultan, you go to the evil Genie, and so it's important to also look for the threads, which you don't want to forget about those, because if you don't get those, you can't go to last location. So looking around for that as well is important, and in this location there's a few places for it, but it can be very close to the Genie on the left side, or it could be on the right side down near the gate. You have to sit through her dialogue before you can go back to the Sultan. She gives you a gem, which appears in this corner. And then, yeah, so turning around here to look for anything is important. They could have a piece up there. There's one down here. There could be some even around the corner there. If you don't have any yet, it might be important to look there. And there we go. You go back to the Sultan to get their piece. Should be said, too, that the dialogue that these characters give is also random. There's a few different options, and some of them could be shorter or longer. So everything about this game is very random. And then they go over to the rope to see if there's another piece. And there we go. This puzzle, or this game, is not very bad, but it is kind of long, so it's best to skip this one as well. Next is the Oasis, which, again, this is kind of just the order that we happen to go in. And so they got the fish puzzles, which... So they end up getting the fish, which it's important to kind of just turn around where you stand, because there could likely be a puzzle piece behind you. Clicking anywhere that you see, like, it's just important to keep clicking. So right there, they were clicking on the heart to get to the location faster. So if you click on that while flying, you can get there real quick and get your keys. There's the thread. And the glasses that you have to get in return to Gomali are the same location every time. It's always up here. Sometimes the game can glitch out and it just won't open that door and you gotta restart. So that doesn't happen too much, but it can happen. And then there's another piece up this way. There's pretty much always a piece in there. I don't think I've played a game where there isn't. So you'll probably always have to go up there. So again, clicking on the heart instead of walking up to the door. And then you return your glasses to get another piece. There could be pieces on the roof too. They could be kind of anywhere. So they need one more, there it is, on the roof, before they can go and play the puzzle. This is an easy puzzle, or game, and it does not take very long to play. So the other one is a matching game, which is very long to play, and also very long to wait through anyways, but it's best to skip that one if you happen to get it. So next is the Rainbow Forest. Immediately get in the butterflies, which is great. And right when you spawn here, it's another look around where you stand. Don't move anywhere. You don't want to move that much because you'll probably waste a lot of time moving around. So looking around immediately, 3 pieces, that means that the last 2 pieces are just going to be from the twins, which is great. That's probably the most ideal outcome that you could have, is finding those as quickly as possible and getting everything that you can right where you stand. So returning the box to Omar gets you another piece, and then you can go over to Halima and do the same thing. You talk to her, don't move when you leave, just kind of click around where you stand, and yeah, that's kind of the goal. There is also a thread which is green, and that is kind of hard to spot. And there's the other gift, so return that and get another piece. The pieces were very easy to find in this run, but it should be said that they can be in the trees, and they can be on the ridges, they can be in the trees in the background of the ridges, they can be a lot of locations. There's also a rope that you can go up, so they can spawn in places that are a lot worse. It may also be hard to see from this video that some of the pieces are being clicked on because there's not a lot of bits in this game. So I suggest, when you play it yourself, you'll probably see things a bit more clearly. All of the things that you have to find do kind of glimmer in some way, so you should be able to see them because they stand out. And they're on to the last location, making very good time. This is the current world record after all. And Barbie gives you a piece, as I mentioned at the very beginning of getting here, so you don't have to look for one piece, and then you get another one from Zahira. The horseshoes are in this location, so those are a bit hard to spot with all the gold, but the game is also pretty easy to play. Both of them are pretty easy, but it kind of just depends on your preference. So after sitting through Zahira's dialogue, you'll have to look for a red ribbon. So right after leaving, turn around. There could be some things to get for your puzzle pieces, like right there. There is often a piece around here, or there's often a red ribbon right here, which you can see and just click on. But there's a location back here, and there's a location over here. And that's the one that they end up getting. So you click through the wall and you can get those, and you don't want to move from where you're standing or else it might be a little off. And that's another piece from there, and should only be one more piece left, I believe. There could be one up this ribbon. There could be one up this rope. And on to the last game, which the horseshoes are not very difficult, so very quick to play. And the timer ends when this is done and the cutscene starts. Well, if you've made it to the end of this video and watched all the way through, I hope you've enjoyed learning about Barbie Genie, regardless of whether or not you're going to run it. But there's only 2 of us playing the game right now, and it would be really fun to see some more people pick up this game. You don't have to have the bottle, even though it's very cool. You can use the F5 and F6 keys to simulate the same things. But we've discovered a lot with this game, and it would be really interesting to see more people join in, mostly if you can figure out other things we could do to make the speedrun even faster. The game being under 8 minutes at all is just such a surprise to me, because we thought that this wouldn't actually end up getting any faster with how random things are in the game. So if you have any questions about the game or the speedrun, feel free to leave a comment, or you can go to the speedrun.com page and post something on the forum. I'll definitely be very glad to answer any questions about the game.